Hi, I'm Phil Edwards, and we're coming to you from my workshop here in deepest, darkest Dorset. I'm a professional plane maker, wooden plane maker, and I've been making planes full-time now for 3 years. I got into making planes. I used to write projects up for woodworking magazines, and one month the editor asked me if I would make a jack plane and write it up as an article. So I wrote the article, and it was well received. And they asked me to do another article. And in the end, I did a series of 9 articles, and every month I made a different plane. So after that, people will get in touch, sort of saying, "Oh, I like the article. I'd love to make one of those jack planes, but I don't think I could. Would you make one for me?" And for quite a while, people were getting in touch asking me to make them planes. And I decided to launch a website and start making planes. I love the simplicity of wooden planes. Essentially, you've got a block of wood with a hole in it, a cutting edge and a wedge to hold it in place. The advantage of a hand plane over a power sander or sandpaper is that a plane, as well as leaving a finely cut surface, it also leaves a flat surface. With sandpaper, you can get a smooth surface, but it doesn't necessarily keep it flat. Also, you don't get fine sawdust flying around the workshop for you to inhale when you're using a plane. So planes, they work much quicker. They allow you to work to the very fine tolerances. That they make you work flatter, and they leave your workshop a little healthier. At shows, customers often ask, why should they buy a new wooden plane from me as opposed to tuning up or buying an old wooden plane off eBay. And I say that the advantage of buying a new plane from myself is that the plane is ready to go. When you purchase it, I've tuned the plane up. The iron is square, sharp. The sole of your plane is flat. The wedge fits perfectly. When you buy one of my planes, the plane is in peak condition. And when you buy an older plane, there may be quite a lot of work to get that running true, to get the sole flattened, the bed flat, well-fitting wedge, to get your iron, flattened and squared up. There's a lot of work, and woodworkers nowadays they're used to buying a tool and it's ready to go out of the box. And buying one of my planes, I make them one at a time, so I can customize that plane if you want it made from a particular wood, if you like rosewood rather than beech, or if you want a thicker iron, or you want the iron at a higher or lower pitch. I can incorporate all of these into your plane because I'm making them one at a time, making it effectively a custom plane. I make a lot of planes from English beech. It's the traditional plane making timber. Beech is a tight grain timber. It's very hard wearing, and when you quarter saw it, it's also very stable timber. Quite a lot of my planes are made from traditional quarter sawn beech, but I also make a lot from exotic timbers like rosewood, African blackwood, pau rosa. There's quite a mix. Customers, they start off, they see a traditional plane, and then over time they change their mind, they upgrade it to a more exotic looking timber. I make a wide range of planes. I make bench planes, so from a smoother jack plane, 4-plane, up to a 30-inch jointer. And I also make moulding planes, panel raising planes, rebate and movement fillister planes for making rebates and dados. I also make a range of smoothing planes and shoulder planes that have a dovetailed brass sole. Some of my customers have been requesting sort of a heavier, smoother. So by having a brass sole, that adds quite an extra weight to the plane. And they're very handsome, very popular planes. I make all the blades for my planes in-house. Everything is made from scratch. I use high carbon Sheffield steel to make my blades, and it's the finest of steels. It takes a very fine edge. It's very easy to sharpen. The advantage for me to make my own blades, it means I can make all different types of planes with skewed irons, planes with shaped irons, like hollows and rounds. I've been able to make my own planes. It allows me to make irons to fit the plane rather than having to buy in an iron and then make planes to fit that particular iron. It gives me a lot of freedom. I finished the majority of the timbers like beech. I use boiled linseed oil. I'll give it typically 2 or 3 coats of oil, and that soaks deep into the timber. It helps with moisture absorption. It also brings out the grain and helps build up a nice patina on the sole. On the more exotic timbers, like rosewoods and parosa, as they're naturally oily timbers, they don't necessarily like an oil finish so much. So I'll typically use a shellac finish on the more exotic timbers.